September 19th, 2019, the Board of Directors regular meeting. Let's see. Opening, we call the order. Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody will stand up and join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wow.
Please bow your heads. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And help make this weekend a successful fish fry weekend. Protect anyone that's on their way to this meeting or the different events this next weekend. In your name, amen.
Roll call, please.
Director Michael Schaefer.
Here.
Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer. Here. Vice President Robert Uten.
Here.
President James Fairman.
Present. Are there any late communications to be presented to the board? Thank you. Any ceremonial matters and presentations?
No.
Okay. Public comments. Consent. Let's see. Seeing no public for a change, we will dispense with that. Consent calendar.
Move for approval. Second.
Been moved, seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. See, approved consent calendar. We did that. Okay. Well, I guess we'll be on item 3.
D1.
D1, sir.
D1.
Oh, yeah. Special Districts Week. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. So earlier this year, the state legislature, with a bipartisan approval, adopted Assembly Current Resolution 89, which officially makes September 22nd through the 28th Special Districts Week. This resolution was sponsored by CSDA to commemorate their 50th anniversary, which is going to be celebrated during the conference next week in Anaheim. So attached for your consideration is adopting Resolution 2019-924, proclaiming the week of September 22nd through 28th, 2019 to be Special Districts Week. And as far as to celebrate this week, we have posted, there's attached to our agenda, the logo that we have on our website. We'll do a press release and mention it on our social media. Last night, this resolution was presented to the Citizens Advisory Committee. They unanimously approved recommending the board adopt the resolution. So that concludes my presentation.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approving the creation of the Waste Ad Hoc Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. This item was discussed on September 10th when the board wanted to consider creating a temporary solid waste ad hoc committee. That committee would discuss certain issues like that are described in your staff report, such as strategies to increase organic recycling participation, tracking solid waste recycling data, comparing CMSC's diversion to other jurisdictions. During the September 10th study session meeting, the board directed staff to bring this item back for today's consideration and to consider nominating Vice President Uten and Director Schaefer to serve on that committee. Last night, the Citizens Advisory Committee also discussed this issue and appointed Elodie Katz and Monty Fields to serve on this committee. Based on how many times you need to meet, that's really up to the committee, and what kind of goals you want to establish. Again, that'll be up to the committee members. As we told the CAC last night, that could be monthly meetings, bi-monthly meetings, quarterly. That's really up to the committee. Once you adopt this committee, the one you will reach out to the community members, trying to find a date that works for everyone for the first meeting, and we'll go from there. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, any questions?
Who is the two CAC, or the, yeah, C, Monty Fields? and-
Monty Fields and LD Cats. LD.
What, do you know their availability, or is there something?
No, I haven't yet, so that's where Milana will send an email out and we'll find out what we're going for.
Yeah, I asked Scott last night to see if they were available during the day, if at all possible.
Yeah, exactly. Not on Thursdays, probably.
Not-
I thought you and Bob would be the best two choices for this commission.
I have an interest in this, and especially based on Scott's memo today, we may have some work to do with the city on that, so.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Do you need a motion for
Yes,
approval?
please, yes.
I'd like to make a motion for approval of the creation of the solid waste ad hoc committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Just a quick question, do we need, in the motion, need to name the two individuals?
Yes.
Yeah, we can, we should.
I would like to name,
Should.
we amend my suggestion would be Bob Booth and Mike Schaefer.
Oh, no, it was already decided. Oh,
I know they needed that in the motion.
for the record. So then you're just gonna decide what date works for them?
Yes.
Okay.
So, do we need to make another motion?
Director made a motion, so we need a second.
Okay.
Need a second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Did you second that? We put it, our second. We second, okay.
Engineers report.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have the project status report. Everything is going well in all the projects. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have a question of Rob?
I do have a quick question, that it's not related necessarily to this, but I've noticed a lot of work from, I assume it's the county, like a California street, some of the other area. Jim, I don't know if that even comes before you guys, but it seems like the county is doing a lot of work. I assume they're clean because they have the same apparatus and things that we use. Do you know anything, does the county have a plan for cleaning like we do? I assume they do.
Well, I think them being over in California may be more storm drain related. Are you talking about the County of Orange or Orange County Sanitation?
I was thinking of OCSD, but the
Oh.
the trucks are not listed. The trucks are independent, or they're contractors.
I
Yes.
saw these trucks on Baker's clean their line on Baker.
Yeah, I saw them doing some on Baker a while back, but this is on, and there's a major sewer line that goes down California, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
So I just assumed they were,
sounds like routine cleaning.
okay. You're making it inconvenient for me to go to work in the morning.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I go to work, Bob.
I have a question.
You can
Rob.
you can go through the disposal.
Is that the canyon force main? You're still working on that?
Yes, force main is in the ground. Pump station improvements are almost done. Force main is in the ground, but almost done. So we're getting close.
When do you expect the completion date? Because it says here, early 2019, but it's past early, I
A little bit past that. No, 1 or 2 weeks. And on, by the way, on Indus,
think.
we had moved that sewer over, and they're now doing restoration of improvements, and then they're done. So 1 to 2 weeks there, and that's done too.
That's GZI.
Actually, Indus is Gentry, General Engineering, from Rancho Cucamonga. Pretty soon I'll be coming to you with a report on the President Vault, reusing that. Our structural engineer is working on the report right now. So that'll be very interesting, and it's right around the corner.
Does that look favorable to be able to use that?
Yes.
Has the canyon force main caused any traffic problems for the city on Wilson Street?
We managed to perform the pump station work without closing the street and leaving 1 lane open in each direction. So the city was very happy. So that was good.
Because I see this, the flashing sign that's still.
Yes. We follow their direction very well.
Anything else for Rob? Okay.
Thank
Move
you.
on to treasurer's report.
Treasurer's not here today, so we will have the reports next month.
Okay. Any general questions of Scott? Okay, let's move along. Attorney's report.
Brief report, just to give the board a heads up, the legislature did pass a bill that requires a 2-year retention period for emails. It hasn't been signed by the governor yet. After it's signed, we have the actual final law that's going to go on the books. We'll send a memo your way, letting you know what the ins and outs are. But that's coming.
Question. Art? What does the current law say for retention?
Well, we don't have a current law for emails. It depends on whether it's a document that is kept in the normal course of business or not. And some cities or some public agencies keep them. Some have an automatic dump policy, and there hasn't been a consistent way to handle those yet. This clears some of the uncertainty and requires 2 years.
Because I think currently now, most of our emails come on these iPads, don't they, Scott?
Yes.
And we don't get any other.
Well, yes, and there's some, but some boomers don't use iPads much, and I still use your private email sometimes.
So we have to, that person has to keep those 2
Yes,
years.
if
If it's passed.
It's business related, yes.
Thanks, sir. I was going to ask the same thing, because some of my emails come to my company, obviously my company email, so I have to keep, well, we'll wait to hear what the final decision is, I guess.
Okay. Any other questions?
Jim, just a quick question. We got a report from your offices about the city of Mission Viejo being challenged on the voting.
Correct. Apparently what happened was the state, Mission Viejo and the voting rights advocacy law firm came to an agreement that they can do cumulative voting instead of districting. And they put that forward, and the state said that they couldn't do it under the laws that were written. The state laws, as we read them, doesn't exactly say you can't do cumulative voting. The problem is, I think, speculating, might be a pragmatic one, setting up a cumulative voting system for just one city is going to be very expensive. You can't exactly use the hardware that they have right now.
Yeah.
So it might be an issue for the state as to how they administer cumulative voting when only one city's doing it. Maybe it won't be a problem if more do it, but at this point the state is saying that it's illegal and under state law, and I imagine it's going to get litigated.
Kelly came out, Neil Kelly came out and said that he wasn't in favor for that very reason, that they don't have the apparatus to vote. The question I had is, let's say that it goes the other way and they get cumulative voting approved. Could districts who've already gone to districting back out of that districting thing and go to a cumulative? Could a board change that afterward?
I'd have to get back to you. I imagine that you... Let me get back to you on that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just thought, and I don't,
That's a
it's just the big boards doing that, but stranger things have happened.
Right.
But that's a hard one because there's money involved
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And, how do you do that one?
Theoretically, you could, but you might be reopening yourself up to a lawsuit.
Yeah.
By districting, you're taking yourself out of the crosshairs of one of the Voting Rights Act lawsuits. Once you take yourself out of the cumulative voting, you kind of open yourself back up to it.
There's no way we could go back and ask Mr. Shankland to refund the money we paid.
Well, we can always ask.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
You better spend it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments on the attorney's reports, or do you have anything else for us?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, local meetings. I attended the strategic planning session with the Orange County Sanitation District last night for about 2.5 hours, and Bob was there with me. But it was really, they were very well done, and it was especially helpful, I think, for the new, we have some new directors there, and it helped clarify a lot of questions and issues, and they did a good job of it. They described, groundwater replenishment and showed examples, and those guys, those other board members got a good liberal education last night, I thought.
Yeah,
Bob?
yeah, they were dealing with issues, pollutants of, what they call pollutants of concern. And then they were dealing with, the biosolids, upgrading their strategic plan on biosolids, and there were 5 different issues that, the board in general agreed with what staff presented, but 1 or 2, at least 1.5 of the 5 issues, the board decided not to include that in the future strategic plan, future work for staff. But, you know, the staff did a very good job.
At any rate, it was well done. Let's see, Santa River Flood Control.
Okay, I attended the meeting before leaving for this meeting, and it was still going on. But the main purpose of that meeting was Jim O'Connell, the Washington advocate that works for us. He said it was he did a brief summary of what's happening because Mike Marcus from Orange County Water is going back there next week with him to meet with some of the representatives on the WRDA committee for funding. But the WRDA for the appropriations bill this last week blew up because of the funding for the border wall. So it's a big mess right now. But the Corps has enough money to complete the project already. They've already and the Westminster Watershed Project. They already have money in hand to do that. So they think the appropriations are going to come the following year. But the Corps and see will be the status of the Santa Ana River Main Stream. Right now, there's nothing going on really right now, but because the end of the year is coming up this next month. And in 2020, they're doing the Norfolk Bluffs for $50 million, River Road Dike for $20 million, Alcoa Dike for $10 million, Santa Ana Creek in 2021 for $134 million, and the spillway once for $70 million. Then the construction will be finished in 2023. So it's a short-term committee. And then after that, they have a 5-year monitoring and fiscal closeout. That's the timetable for finishing the Santa Ana River Main Street schedule, which is pretty good, pretty exciting, because I've been on this committee with Jim for 20 plus years. And finally, it's coming to an end because they're having the money to fund everything. The last thing they do is a spillway. So once they have that done,
When we were appointed to that committee, they said, oh, it'd be, what, 5 years maybe?
yeah.
That's 25 years ago.
We used to have hair.
I was going to say, you two would go on here for 20 years.
But they also talked about, they met with Harley Ruda. They're going to meet with Harley Ruda. No, actually, they met with him for 15 minutes. They're going to meet with Lowenthal, the other representative from Orange County.
Yeah.
And he's one of the main guys on the WRDA committee. And they're going to make an appointment with him in November to sit down and get his support for funding, more funding for the WRDA bill. But that was basically it.
Okay, any questions? Independent Special Districts, Mr. Schaefer, and Ms.
It would be Mrs. Schaefer.
Oh, I see.
Mr. Wisner.
That's very clear.
Okay. Very good, very good. Well, mine's real fast because I didn't make it. I was sick, so I wasn't there.
Since I was there, I'll make it real fast.
Yes.
Nothing substantive came out of these stuff. It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Of course, the announcement about the LAFCO
Yeah.
representative was received. But that was basically it. Nothing really to report.
Did you have anything?
Yeah,
Oh.
you're right. I always do. Okay. First of all, I went to, it's called the Chambers Government Affairs Committee, and it's made up of all the different people that are, representatives of legislators and Edison and so forth, And at that meeting, we had a speaker, and it was on this United States Census for 2020, and they had said they'd just been here to our employees and talk to them about it. So I have all the information on that. I also passed out our newsletter to everybody, and they found it quite interesting, because I think our problem is some of these committees, we don't share it with them, so they don't know what's going on and how much we're doing. And then also, they talked about the ineffectiveness in the paper, and I'll give it to you when I get done. But it's the former Trinity Broadcasting System, the network. You know, they're redoing it. They're completely going to remodel it.
Mirror Street.
And it's going to be, actually, I should read this one. It's going to be a language school. And it's going to be open in the fall of 2020, and it's 6.19 acres. So it's pretty big. And they said it's going to be fantastic what they're going to do to it compared to what it is now. It's just kind of a sleeper in that area, and nobody seems to have a problem with it. And they're going to have a lot of people going to it already, so they're pretty excited about that. And then on the legislation committee, legislators up in CSDA are so excited because we are responding to letters that are going up to different legislators showing that our interest. And so, you know, we want to keep doing that. And it's really, we have been, and it's really important because legislators not only see that we're involved, but we care for what's going on, we can respond. Let's see, here's done. I just finished going to Vanguard, Taste of Vanguard. They invited me to the Center Club, it's Fantasia. It's really, really good. Good turnout of people. There's all the sponsors that were there. And being that we're pretty good about doing something towards them too. And so they talked about their up and coming October 9th is when we'll be having something at the Performing Arts Center in Fantasia. And so I have all this information if anyone's interested in it at all. And then also Vanguard talked about, and I have a magazine type of thing. It's like a sleeper. They're doing so much an improvement right now. And I talked to this one person who told me they'd like to take me on a tour to see it. They're just enlarging it so it's like, you know, nobody understands or knows all that because it's all kind of in Vanguard.
So you're talking about Vanguard?
Yeah, the University of Vanguard. And next year will be their 100th anniversary. So I said,
Really?
yeah, so I said, well, we're just 75. Yeah,
It's been
anyway,
there 100 years. I didn't know
I
that.
don't think it's been close to
they
this.
said that. It's been there
It might have
since
been,
1906.
In Costa Mesa?
Yeah, and they said it's just, it wasn't a university then,
Wait a
it was
minute.
just a school.
It started in 1906, and I get ready to celebrate their 100th anniversary. You sure?
No. Well, I could be a little wacky. But you believe anything I say, right?
That's why Mike asked you.
Okay.
But
So,
that's really, to think about that, I mean, they were remember they were Southern
Yeah.
California College.
yes, yes, yes.
That's the real SC.
Yeah.
And,
That's when they, in the 60s, they had the Wally Moon baseball camp there. That's where I
Yeah.
played.
that's where I went to.
They have a lot of sports there now, and they're doing fantastic. And they have about, I think he said, 43,000 people that are, you know, going to different things.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
I was quite.
It's bigger than you think. No, it's bigger than you
School.
think.
Orange Coast College has only about 23,000.
I know, I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say that.
It looks like Orange Coast has become, it's going to be four-year college, then with all the construction.
Yes,
That's the
yes.
game plan.
Really?
They're putting those apartments or the dorms along.
Yeah, on Adams is going to
Then
be.
you turn up Fairview, and all those new buildings going in,
Yeah,
classrooms, I guess.
yeah.
I think they can do some four-year programs now, but
Yeah.
they intend to do more.
They
It's got about 28,000 students, I think.
Yeah, it's not, it's in the 20,000s, I
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe we could get a wastewater curriculum at Orange Coast if they go to
know. That's a
4
great, good idea.
that'd be good. Does Santa Ana College still have one?
It's Santiago Canyon. Santiago Canyon.
Oh, Santiago,
Yeah,
that's not
it's
Santa.
fine.
There used to be one at Orange Coast College.
So anyway, that's about it. I just
Okay.
have all the information.
Any questions? Let's move along to risk management.
Yeah, we have a board meeting next week in conjunction with the CSDA conference, but I will tell you that on behalf of SKRMA, I attended the California Association of Joint Power Authorities conference last week. Unfortunately, it was in South Lake Tahoe. Somebody has some really good governance classes that I'm going to recommend CSDA look at. You know, help for boards and so some pretty good stuff. But probably one of the more interesting sessions I went to, Colin, it dealt with the three attorneys that talked about, I'm going to mess this up, lizard interrogations or reptile interrogations. And does that ring a bell? They're talking about cross-examinations where they try to...
Oh, yes, yeah, the lizard and the reptile, yeah, it's a...
Reptile,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's taking everybody down to their most reptilian mode and where everything's survival and you have a person who's doing something dangerous and everybody goes to the animal, yeah, I've heard of it.
It was, I mean, these attorneys did a really nice job of explaining it. They had some scenarios and stuff, and don't you think it's good that people cross the street in a crosswalk? Well, yeah, and it was a good session. So it was cold in Lake Tahoe last week. So.
How about the golf course?
I have two.
I could see the golf course from my home, but I didn't get there. So that's really it. I'll have next month. One quick thing on this, dear man, sorry. You know, we had an election of officers this summer, and two incumbents were reelected, Bob Swan and Sandy Raffleson. And the third candidate who we voted for, Patrick O'Rourke, I had called him and congratulated him on winning the third seat and everything. And less than a week later, I get an email from the guy saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to do it because I've accepted a job in Ireland."
Oh my gosh.
So we went to the next candidate, and I don't know or anything. So the fourth guy won. When I called him, he says, "So I win by default?" And I said, "Well, yeah, kind of." So hopefully we'll meet you next week.
So you haven't met him yet?
I know. He's from the Holly Lake Community Services District.
Where's that?
I have no idea. I know it's up near
Up north somewhere.
it's up near Susanville, I think.
Oh,
Way up.
Yeah.
Wherever Susanville
It's
is.
way up.
It's above Reno, they said.
It's on the east side of the state,
Hmm.
Okay.
way up.
What morning is your practice? What day?
Friday morning. This conference is weird because it's starting on
Sorry, Wednesday.
Wednesday. I think the big party big celebration is Friday night.
Well,
Right.
Wednesday night is when they,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Wednesday night is a reception,
Yeah.
and, but we haven't had the invitation yet. I'm sure it's in the registration, it's packed. And it's the outgoing president will be having that. And then, of course, the golf is that day, so that makes a difference. This is the 25th of Wednesday, hopefully we're all going.
I was so excited I
Thursday.
went up to get my packet Wednesday.
Yeah.
He went to.
Well, I printed out one too, but you can't have, anyway. Also Thursday is ethics.
Yeah.
It's in the
Yeah.
morning and then in the afternoon.
Yeah.
No, they're both in the afternoon.
Well, it's the previous schedule.
They changed it?
I don't know, my schedule shows the first session at 2:15,
Yeah.
and then the second one at 3:30 or something.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
really?
too bad.
I didn't read it that way.
Yeah.
I'll have to look closer.
Well, they made, the program may be different, but that was the way the original program was.
Yeah, because at first it was morning and then the
That's what I thought.
afternoon.
They're both, they're one right after the
Because
other.
I know Adam Polanski, he's got something at 3:45 and he wanted me to go to the, looks like I won't go. Anyway, the other thing is, I saw our new Vector truck and it came right to my street and I ran out there to them and they gave me a personal tour and showed me all around it and all the things. Let me tell you, it's worth it. They were so excited over it.
Did he give you a coloring book?
It's
No.
got this
Listen.
truck and all the locals on
It
it.
was hard enough stepping up toward the cab, you know?
Yeah.
It's giant.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is so big,
It's a big deal.
unreal. And the cameras on there in the front and the back, you know, it's really neat. And, you know, it's a good feeling. And Joel said he's so excited over this that he's more excited. His wife said, "You're more excited than you've ever been with me." And he says, "That's right." He just, it's so beautiful. It's so gigantic. And so they're cleaning all around. They've been doing it for 3 weeks now. And they'll have it for open house on the 12th when we're, you know, here. So if you haven't, you know, seen it close up, you should, because it's incredible.
Yeah, I've seen a lot.
Yeah, so could I ask a question to Scott? Are we still renting a truck, a dump truck? Because I saw one doing the same thing. It was a Vector truck, it was in, and I thought it was ours, but it didn't have our logo on it. It was red.
It sounded like that, how long ago was it?
It was last week.
No, it wasn't last week, but we rented.
That's why I thought maybe that was ours, but it didn't have our
No,
logo.
it wasn't ours.
It was in the middle of the street doing the, I don't know if it was the county stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jim, just for the benefit of, so this is the schedule from CSDA and Dropbox. 215 is part 1 of the ethics AD 1234, and then 345 is part 2.
I don't like it, you're right.
Sorry, I just go by my computer.
Wow. Thank you.
So name.
Yeah,
Okay, Marlene, anything else?
that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Oral communications.
I'm sorry, Jim, another meeting real quick. I did, Nolani, I think you got my harassment training certificate, right? I did that on Target Solutions on my computer at the office. It's really lengthy, but it was easy to do. I mean, it took me about 3 hours to do and I don't know if there's an hourly requirement on it, but it's ready, one slide after another. Normally, you can kind of bump through the slides and get to the test. It was like a 10-question test. You couldn't do that. You had to listen to this little gal for the whole thing. But it was okay.
Were you due for the harassment? Were you due?
I think I was, yeah.
Are any of us due for that?
I'll double check.
Because I know all of us have to do that.
Oh, all of us have to do ethics?
Yeah.
I thought I was okay.
Well, that's questionable.
Well,
I should open right now.
In the Waco,
We went to Waco, 4 of us.
yeah, and you talked about
That's right.
About the holiday.
chemicals of emerging concern, PFAS and PFOS.
it was riveting.
Basically, the thing that I got out of it was GWS cleanses the water and remove everything. So when the reverse osmosis removes it, if it's 30 part per trillion or microgram per liter, comes over from Orange County Sand District, which is the present amount coming over, it condenses it by 6 and sends it back, and they send that directly to the ocean. The recycled stream from the nanofiltration goes back through the sewage treatment plant. And then last night they talked about those particular chemicals, and the most major concern they have is if it ends up in the biosolids. And so they're beginning to explore I think one of their strategic plan elements is, they've always dealt with the pollutants of emerging concern and pretty dramatically reduced them. This chemical is everybody in the room's got it in their body. Basically came from military bases and
Airports, landfills.
and where they use flame retardant like firefighting. But it's diminishing. But if you once it's made, it lasts 100 years. And once they say you can't make that anymore, they just tweak it a little bit, and there's 1,000 of them, 1,000 potential variations. Anyway, it's a chemical that they're interested in.
One thing also, there's 53 wells in Orange County that they're starting to check more of. And they're checking them around the landfills and the airports because that's where they're finding, and they're shutting some of the wells down because of the content of the water. So that was, that's one of the things we talk about.
Yeah.
But these chemicals are found in carpets, clothing, packaging, stained master carpets, Scotch guard, cardboard, everything you can think of, these chemicals are part of it.
So once you get your French fries at a fast food place, a little barrier that keeps it away from cardboard means PFAS, that chemical. It's everywhere.
That's everywhere. But I think I did a pretty good job of explaining it.
Okay, let's move along. Oral communication and director comments. Art, do you have any?
We just had the fish fry this weekend, and I think our staff is working Saturday and Sunday. And I think it's going to be pretty good. I know the cook will be pretty good.
Well, we had a lot of guys and gals put out the effort this year. It's always tough. Bob, did you have any?
No, no, sir.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands that Friday at 5:30 is the start time for the fish fry at Fairview Park. And then the next day it's 11 o'clock. I think it starts at 11
Yes.
and goes till like 10.
A little thereafter,
And then Sunday the same hours. So we just encourage everybody to join in our efforts and for the community.
Parking is going to be extremely restricted, and bring your bicycle.
I did bring that in the parking.
Well, we are gonna have some golf carts
I don't have
Yes.
that. Thank you.
for
Mike Neal,
Oh, you're so good.
and I brought the staff some.
Hey.
Because they're not going to let many people in without parking pass. So that was 3 enough for you guys?
I have.
Okay, here's 4 for you guys, because you have 2 sets. You have 2 sets.
Okay, that's
Did you
all
get
I
one?
had.
That was our name.
Mike, did you have something?
Yeah, just two real quick things.
I got one in my car.
In June, I attended, Nabila and I attended that waste, whatever it was, waste night in Las Vegas. I think next year, it's the kind of conference I think that has a lot of value to us as directors. There's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of things that we talk about that I think is beneficial, especially as we go to the waste study and some of these things.
Do they talk about green waste?
Yeah, I spent almost all my time in anaerobic digestion and green waste and recycling classes. And I thought it was really good.
What month was that in?
It was the first week of June, I think. Now, it was in Vegas last year. It's in New Orleans next year. And I know we had to backtrack to get approval to go out of state. Elaine, if it's not too much trouble, could you get the dates, and if we need to get approval for those of us that want to go, let's take care of it as soon as possible. And I appreciate that. And the other thing I have, and Colin and Scott, I guess I'll pose this to both of you. It occurred to me last night at the Citizens Advisory Council meeting that the committee takes votes on things. And what happens if they vote to, well, I know what happens, but they vote on something. And last night they voted on the resolution for, okay. Should they be voting on things, technically? Because ultimately, we have to make the decision. Now, I don't mind them recommending to us and getting a poll of them and saying to us, we recommend you guys go forward with this. But do they really need to be taking official and recorded votes?
Well, understand, they're not adopting resolutions, they're not adopting ordinance, they don't have that authority. They're an advisory board, and it's good to know how they vote, or if they're going to, either say they support or oppose. So there's nothing, I don't feel anything wrong with voting. Do you? I mean, they comply with the Brown Act, and
yeah. The only concern I have is, and this kind of came up with the districting thing. They voted for one solution, and there were some hard feelings about, well, this is what we voted for. The board should have gone along with that. There were people that said that to me.
Well, you got to understand that was their first real, first meetings, their first understanding how the process works. I think some of the board members reminded others, hey, they're an advisory board. You're there to recommend, and the board's not going to always agree with what you're recommending.
I'm just looking for ways to soothe what could be a potential
No,
problem.
I think that's our democracy, right? I mean, they're going to.
I get it.
They're going to vote or oppose something for you, and it's really ultimately up to you.
Okay. I hope they continue to understand that ultimately the decision's with us and not, they don't need to get their feelings bruised because we don't agree with them.
That's true.
Okay, anything else for the good of the cause? Arlene? Okay.
I just want to remind everybody about Newbrook Mesa Unified School District, which is on October 2nd, and we probably won't see each other, out of a meeting to say something. And it's going to be in Estancia High School. And
Yeah, I'm signed up for that.
it's in the morning, I think, 8:30 in the morning.
No, it's 7.
It's earlier than 8:30. It's like
7 o'clock.
Oh, really?
It'll be over by 8:30.
7?
The school starts at 8.
Oh, so it's at 7?
I'm sure it's at 7.
Okay, I'll go to one.
We
We have 4 spots. I put it in my request, but it's not for the reason.
I did not.
We only have 4 spots, so I'm going, and our next one, Mike's going, and
I'm going.
and Bob's not.
No, I'm not.
If you need breakfast,
Let's
I can
go.
sacrifice it if you want to go.
He's probably gonna be on vacation.
I don't have to go.
I have any trouble finding breakfast.
I don't have to go, so you guys
No,
can
no.
go.
I think we're okay.
He's not.
Let the record show I'm sacrificing myself.
Okey-doke. Anything else?
No, what are they suggesting anywhere that we park?
I haven't received any information on parking yet.
Because the students park in the front gym by, where you enter into the commons. In the back is where the faculty parks, but I would park, the students aren't gonna be there yet, so I'd park closer to the gym. One by the tennis courts, that would be my recommendation. Park there, it'll be closer thing.
They do it at the,
I'll do it in
obviously,
the gym.
it's in the they're doing it in the gym, not in the commons.
The last one was in the gym.
Crota Mars last year, Jim and I went, it was in the gymnasium too, wasn't it?
I think that's because they have, in the Estancia gym, they have the gigantic big screens now, so they'll probably have the video going while you're, once you're discussing things.
Oh, I do have one last thing.
Okay?
I was at a breakfast meeting, and Gary Monahan came up and talked to me and said to be sure to tell you all hi. So I'm doing it.
Well, he's gonna be at our golf tournament, serving, rum before the tournament starts, at the registration table with.
Are you serious?
He works for a room this week.
Works for Wilson,
Oh, really?
so I saw that, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to be done, of course, but all the food and drink.
Okay, anything else?